Hello, I'm Nick Piggott. I'm the Project Director of Radio DNS, and I'm going to talk now to Martin Koch, who's the Head of Development in Multimedia at Audi. Martin, thanks for talking to us about what it is you're doing with radio in the car. First of all, I want to ask you about something that's going to be very important next year in 2020. Explain to us what the European regulation on digital radio means for you as a car manufacturer.
Basically, it's very easy. So the regulation requires from us that we install a digital terrestrial radio reception in every passenger car, starting from, I think, December 2020, and that's it.
Great, so every car that you buy in Europe from the end of 2020 will have DAB radio in just as it comes off the production line.
This is right. And for Audi, it's not a big deal because we have DAB since, I think, then 2010 in our cars, in all car lines, and in some countries today it's in the basic price included, so it's not a big deal for us, and we can easily adopt to this regulation.
Excellent. Well, that's very good to know. You must feel that there's some strength in radio. You must find from your drivers that they really want to listen to radio because it's still quite prominent in your dashboard. Tell me some of the things that you hear from your customers, from your drivers, about why they like radio.
So basically, what we have today as a situation is that radio is the most prominent, the most used audio source in the car. In the past, it was like CD was playing a big role, but these times are over.
Okay.
So this situation makes radio strong, and they love the quality of DAB, and they love the choice, the many stations they can listen to it, and I think in the future the listening habits of our customers might change, so we have to adopt to that.
Yeah. So technically, radio really works for you as a technology team and for the drivers because it's available the moment you switch the car on. The radio works, and it has really good coverage and it has good availability. So I guess there's some really strong things about why you would want radio to be prominent in the dashboard. But I'm guessing, as the guy who's responsible for all multimedia in Audi, you see some other pressures for not just placement but prominence in the dashboard. So who do you see competing for dashboard space in the car against radio? And then we'll talk a little bit about what you think radio should do to counter that. So who else is trying to get onto your team's roadmap and onto the dashboard?
Yeah. As everybody knows, music streaming is very big at the moment, very popular at the moment, and in every test in a motor magazine you can read the number of music streaming providers we have in the car, and that it could be more. Today we have Amazon Alexa in our Audis, we have Amazon Music streaming our Audis, and there are more streaming services to come in the future. But this is what the customer or the popularity is at the moment, so music streaming providers.
So they're the audio source you feel is challenging radio the most in the dashboard at the moment is the personalized music services which are running off IP streaming.
Yes. In the past, you could connect your mobile phone to the car infotainment system and stream music with using Bluetooth, but this is not so easy like switching on the radio and clicking just a button. So I think this harms people for using this because it's inconvenient. But in the future, these music streaming services will be at the same level, in the same fantastic usability as the radio is. So now we are playing on the same playground, and we will see how this affects radio usage in the cars.
It's very interesting that you talk about a playground, because I guess as a team you have a certain amount of effort that you can give to integrating multimedia services into the dashboard, and you see a lot of demand from your drivers or a lot of interest from your drivers in the music services, and you mentioned their voice-enabled services and things like that. What do you feel that radio needs to do to make your life a bit easier to justify time spent on radio in the car? What does the radio broadcasters need to do that you aren't getting from them at the moment?
So I want to ask, or I want to answer the first question about the effort. Yeah. So it's the case that everybody has limited resources, and my development team is 20 people for multimedia, and these 20 people has to deal with all the requirements from outside. And so we have to decide what is priority and what is not so high priority, and where we spend our money. And it's not only spending money on development engineers, but it's spending money on, for example, license fees. And in the car industry, it's like if you buy a service from a third party, you have very often to pay license fees per car. And if you imagine that the Volkswagen Group sells 10 million cars a year, and you would have a nice little service which costs you, let's say, €1, which should be a very cheap service per car, it is cost of €10 million per year.
Yeah.
And so I and the whole Audi management has to decide on, is it worth putting this service into our cars, which costs us, without development, without testing, just a license, €10 million a year. And how many more cars could we sell when we have this service integrated? Or do we lose cars if we don't integrate the service? Then it's a very challenging question, and this is not only done by me. There is the project management involved, there's the sales and marketing people involved, and we together has to do decisions on that. So what I want to say is, when it comes to cost, even if a car in the premium class can afford more luxury features, but it's always a question, do we really want to spend money on this or that service or this and that feature? So it's always a challenge to put the right priorities. And as I said, in the public at the moment, streaming is very big, and radio is recognized as not so innovative. And I think I can justify more efforts for radio internally and towards the communication to our customers if radio gets sexy and modern and interactive and personalized. And these are the features we need to place in the software, in the system, and in the communication.
And that's a very price-sensitive issue for you. As you say, it's not just the amount of time you need to spend developing stuff, but it's what the ongoing cost on each car of managing something is. So anything where radio can leverage the fact that it can make content available to you directly, we do that over FM, we do that over DAB, we can do that with hybrid services. Anything where you can get hold of content is a benefit, because it allows you to justify spending more time on promoting radio.
This is true, and radio is always strong, or was always strong, because of its free to air. You don't need accounts, you don't need to pay any monthly fees, and I think it's worth to keep that also in the future. If we want to make radio great again, we should be aware of, we should not put money to our customers. We should make this great experience available for every customer and make a great radio experience, and this helps radio, I think.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so leverage on the fact that traditionally we're a free-to-air medium, and what we do in terms of developing radio and making the experience better ought to also be effectively free-to-air.
This is right. This is my message, right.
Brilliant. We're here today at Radio Days with a car which has got the state-of-the-art digital radio in with hybrid functionality. It's already evolved from what we saw last year. What would you like to do as the next feature? When we're here in a year's time, what new feature would you like to be showing people alongside digital radio?
I cannot talk about future features of our cars, but from a top-level perspective, I want to bring together the broadcast radio, streaming, and hybrid to one experience. That the customer even does not really know what is the source of it, because he wants to dig into content, and sometimes he wants to listen to a broadcast station, he wants to recognize or learn about new content and just listen to what's played, and sometimes maybe he wants to dig more into the topics, and I want to present this detailed information to our customers, that he can really make use out of all the content the radio industry produces every day, and it's could not be listened by me because I'm not always listening to radio. And maybe this nice report was on air 1 hour ago and I had no chance to listen to it. So I want to bring all these information from the internet, from the broadcast together in one experience that you have let's say organic a transfer between broadcast, linear, web, on-demand, podcast. Yes, this is my vision, yeah.
It sounds like you're very excited about radio.
Absolutely.
But you need more content from radio in order to
do this,
to
yes,
realise
absolutely.
your vision. That's great. Martin, thank you very much for your time. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for telling us so much about how radio is developed within Audi.